Hey, Ashley.
Hi, Stacy.
What'd you learn today?
Ants don't have lungs.
Really?
Did you know that?
No, I didn't. So, is it like a fish with gills? Wait, fish have lungs.
Fish, yeah. Well, fish have, don't they have like lung bladders? It just really taught me how little I know about ants. I know that they're very strong. That's something that for some reason we all seem to know. Ants can hold 80 times their weight or whatever. I mean, that's another fact that maybe people are screaming at their phone right now. It's not 80, it's 9,000. They don't
Hmm.
have lungs.
Well, they're also Hollywood celebrities, weren't they? In Ant-Man recently?
Ant-Man? I haven't seen a movie since Doctor Strangelove.
Were you even alive when that came out?
No.
Oh.
Were you? I think I want to say it like it's from the 60s, right?
Yeah, it's well before my time.
There you go. All right, everybody. Ants don't have lungs. Take that, shove it in your pipe and smoke it, and don't give it to an ant because they won't be able to inhale. Let's get this episode started.
This is the Tango Alpha Lima podcast.
They call me crazy cause I'm facing all my giants. They try to scare me into thinking I can fight it. They tell me I should never even think of trying. But that's just me, I'm gonna live out in defiance.
Hey, Alphas. Our guest today is Marine Corps veteran, actor, comedian, writer, producer, director, and Legion member Rob Riggle. But before we get to Rob, Stacy, what do you got? What do you got?
Well, we got a little bit of a troll comment here from Harris. And they say, younger veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan wars seem to view the VFW and American Legion as outdated. Many don't feel they want to, quote, hang around and drink and smoke, as opposed to being out in the community. Also, because the younger generation of veterans are still working, many do not have time to get involved in these type of organizations, despite the organization's best efforts to recruit them. Ashley, what are your thoughts for Harris?
I mean, yeah, they probably do. They got younger families. They do have full-time jobs in most cases. So I think that is also part of what the Legion is trying to factor in and go, hey, how can we bring and make this a more of a family atmosphere? How, bringing in gaming, bringing in different things. There's not big clouds. I mean, oh my God, I was in Victoria, Texas. Shout out to the Victoria, Texas Post. I did a show there recently. And it was amazing. There was no smoking in that place. It was clean. They had food. They had a stage. The people there were great. So it's not all smoke-filled people drinking around a bar. Like the American Legions, definitely in particular, are evolving. So
yeah, that's a fair point. And I will say I'm not a drinker and a smoker, and I'm an American Legion member. But I don't think you have to limit yourself based on whatever Legion posts are around you. So if you go to one and you're finding it's not to your liking, go shopping. We've said this before. There are other posts around you, probably in a stone's throw. So check out what else is in your area. And that you don't have to be at the post to volunteer. You can volunteer on behalf of the American Legion at your VA hospital and do other things too. So if you want to be out there helping this organization in the communities, there are several ways to do it without being in a post per se.
Yeah.
So good luck.
Walk around with a clipboard, check things off. Do they have this? Do they have that? And they'll love that. Just, stand outside. I would love to see that. We should make a video about that. I think that would be great. Okay, Alphas, we'll be back for OChat 30 with Rob Riggle right after the break.
As a veteran, you've done more than your fair share of providing support. Now it's our turn. Introducing the WellCare and the American Legion Partnership and the WellCare Medicare Advantage Plan. They give you more support, more access, and more benefits in addition to your VA benefits. Visit wellcareforveterans.com today or call 844-917-1165. Ohana Health Plan, a plan offered by WellCare Health Insurance of Arizona, Inc. New Mexico dual eligible special needs plan members. As a WellCare by Allwell DSMP member, you have coverage from both Medicare and Medicaid. Medicaid services are funded in part by the state of New Mexico. New Mexico Medicaid benefits may be limited to payment of Medicare premiums for some members.
All right, Alphas, thank you so much for sticking around after the break. We have got an awesome interview for you today. I can't wait. Marine, actor, comedian. I know he makes me laugh. Everybody, please welcome Rob Riggle.
Hello.
Hello. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Pretty good. I'm in San Antonio. I'm on Lackland Air Force Base, and we've got it's nonstop rain. I think I'm going to float away. So
Very possible. When it starts raining down there, sometimes it just doesn't stop for long periods of time.
yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, I was stationed down in Corpus Christi, so I used to drive up to San Antonio quite a bit on the weekends and enjoy the river walk as a young 20-something.
Oh yeah, signs of life up there. There's
Yes.
I'm surprised you can remember any of that. I was born in Corpus Christi at the Naval Air Station, actually.
Were you really? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, hey, by the way, welcome to the show, and I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you.
You know, I guess you've taken part in a ton of interviews, and I found myself going down a whole bunch of rabbit holes. And by the way, Alphas, those who are listening, just go into YouTube, type Rob Riggle, and you'll be transfixed for hours like I was. Anyway, during that time, I found out a lot of stuff, like you were a 9/11 search and rescue effort individual, which I wasn't aware of. And then after chatting with a mutual friend of ours, he said he was in Afghanistan with you as a combat cameraman. His name's Nick Brooks, and you were his PAO. He said it was you and a British Marine gunnery. And he said this, and I wanted to share it with you. He says, I'm usually the funniest guy in the room, but he was definitely more entertaining than me. And then he said he kept wondering how that he could be in war, having the time of his life. And he wanted me to tell you that you were one of the most supportive leaders he ever had, and being away from his family, you made war tolerable. So that's a big attaboy.
Wow, that's awesome. That you just made my year. Thank you very much. And the year just started, so thank you. That's one of the best compliments I've ever received. So thank you.
No, I thought that was pretty special, so I wanted to impart that to you. But
Yeah,
I have a really burning question. What's the T-shirt over your shoulder? What's the story behind that?
Ah, yes, the old Marine Corps. That was my old PT shirt. I used to run in that when I was living in New York, when I go run through Central Park or whatever. And my improv troupe, great group of people, hilarious comedians, all Paul Scheer, Rob Hubel, Chad Carter, just Owen Burke, Jackie Clark, just some wonderful, wonderful people. Danielle Schneider. I don't want to forget anybody. Anyway, I probably am. But when I deployed, I believe it was to, well, it was both. I think it was when I deployed to Albania and Kosovo, and then came back. And then when I went to Afghanistan, they used to take my shirt, that shirt right there, and they used to hang it on the stage when they were doing their shows. And so that always meant a lot to me. And then when I got home, they all signed it. And so that's why it hangs right there, because it was a very special memory, and that's a very special group of people. That's
awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm a stand-up, and I'm a military spouse. My husband's been in for a long time, 33 years now. We're the same age. It's fine. It's not weird. But whenever I talk about all my social media is like pro-military stuff. I'm always trying to like raise awareness for something. But I found that whenever I try to get anything made with somebody that doesn't have any like military background, I'll get like an attitude of nobody really cares about what veterans, military families think is funny or entertaining. There's a weird thing that happens. Have you experienced that at all, where you're like, they just don't get it?
Possibly, yes. They don't get it on a cellular level, like I think people that serve do. I remember one time though, I was on the Daily Show, and I was getting ready to go over and do a USO tour with the, matter of fact, it's that one right up there. I was getting ready to go with Horatio Sands, Paul Scheer, and Rob Hubel. And I was going to do some reporting for the Daily Show while I was there, but I was basically there to do a USO tour. And it was a really good tour because we were hitting all the forward operating bases. We were going all the FOBs. So it wasn't like we were, stuck in Baghdad. you know, in the green zone. We were out there kind of on the tip of the spear, which was kind of fun because I think those soldiers and Marines, they don't get, if you're out on a fob, you generally don't get USO shows.
Yeah.
So we were getting ready to go do the show, and Jon Stewart, you know, who was on the Daily Show for many years, ran the Daily Show. He pulled me aside, and he's a very experienced stand-up comedian. And I was pretty new to stand-up at the time. I was more of an improviser. And he said, okay, so tell me about your show. What are you going to do? You know, and I was like, well, I thought we would come out. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. And so we had a lot of improv and some sketches worked out that we were going to do. And I had a little stand-up that I was going to just do at the top. And he said, he goes, all right, well, listen, you got to, you know, what are you going to do? I was like, well, I'll just do the stuff I do at the clubs, you know, the club act or whatever. And he's like, now you might want to rethink that, you know, let's think about who we're talking to here, you know? And I was like, all right, what do you mean? He's like, you know, think about your audience, play for them, you know, talk to them about their life. That's what they want to hear about. So I said, yeah, great. I got you. Of course I didn't. I went, first show was in Kuwait, and I did, you know, I did mostly my club stuff, and, you know, the crowd was nice and they were fine and it went fine. It wasn't like it was a bomb, but it didn't, I didn't think it rocked. I didn't think it was, you know, kick ass. So, so I went back and I thought about it, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to right now sit down and write out like 15 things about their life here in Iraq, in Kuwait. And I did, and then I did it the next night, and it just murdered. It just killed. And it's because you have to talk about what matters to them. You know, if I'm talking to a bunch of soldiers about my luggage problems at LAX, nobody gives a shit. You know, and they're like, you gotta, you know, okay, it might be funny. If I can make it funny, great. They may chuckle, but man, they'd much rather hear about the food they're eating or the rules of engagement they got to put up with, or, you know, the CO who's a little aloof, or the porta-johns that they got to use, or, you know, that's the stuff that's my life. That's me. And it made a huge difference. And so I think that's the case, though, you know, finding that evergreen universal material is really, really hard. You know, you have to talk to people about what they're dealing with, what they're facing. And that was the best advice I ever got, because then it changed the way I conducted myself when I toured, when I did stand up, what part of the country I was in. You know, just talk to your audience about what they care about, and make it funny. That's a big part of it too.
Be in the room I was at Minot Air Force Base last week, and which is in North Dakota. It feels like was negative 27. And it's one of those places where like you get those orders in the Air Force, and they're like, I don't want to go there. It's, you know, it's all the nukes, and it's in the middle of nowhere. And just most of my set was just like, I was worried I wasn't going to be able to get up off the toilet seat because I was going to freeze to it. And they're just like, yeah, you got one target. Why are you here?
Yeah. If I was on a bus driving to Minot, I would be making up a list of 10 ways to overcome boredom, 10 reasons not to kill yourself, 10, you know, all those, you know, just start making boom, 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 because that's their life. You know, when you're in the Lonely Hearts Club up there in North Dakota, you know, talk about the dating scene, I mean, I could come up with 10 things right now. Jesus, I mean, that's miserable.
I love it.
Like there's dating at Minot.
They actually, Stacey, you say that it's known for, you have babies every time you get there because there's nothing else to do. The one guy,
believe it. There's not a whole lot to do there.
He had 3 tours. He had 12 kids.
Hey, I was stationed in Nebraska. It's adjacent. It's all the same shit.
Yep.
But so actually we talk about your tour in the USO. What a fantastic organization. And thank you for putting yourself out there. I know that's a big ask to put yourself right back where you started. You know what I mean? I actually caught Robin Williams in 2003. Yeah.
You're lucky. You got one of the good tours. I never got all my deployments. I never got a single USO tour.
I only locked out because I just came off mission, and I was a combat cameraman. So I took my camera, and that's like my all access pass to anywhere. And so I went to the front of the line, and I'm sitting there crouched down, pretending I'm taking pictures when I'm really just trying to take in his set. And he's all hot and sweaty, and he comes up and he puts his shirt over my head and rubs his hairy belly.
Oh God.
Oh my God. It was the best and the worst all at once.
I was about to say, it's probably the best and the worst.
It was fabulous. And actually, I think I read that one of your tours was in 2007 during the surge.
Yeah.
I was there. I'm like, how did I miss you?
I don't know. I hit like 7 fobs in 7 days. It was relentless. We were exhausted. And we did all the shows at night because it was 118 degrees. It was like July of 07. And even at night, it was still 125, 118 degrees.
God.
You know, and we're behind those HESCO bunkers. You know, it wasn't like real safe, I didn't feel, but it was still great. The shows were always fun, and the troops are always super receptive. So it was a lot of fun.
Well, you had a lot of deployments under your belt as it is. And nobody walks away from those experiences unchanged. Did going on these tours and seeing other troops in those same positions that you were in have a sort of cathartic experience? Did it trigger anything for you? What was that like?
No, to me, it was all positive. Again, I never received any USO, entertainment anytime I was deployed. So kind of one of the things I always said to myself was, because I knew I was going to try to enter a life of the arts. I was going to try a life in comedy and acting. And I kind of made this little promise to myself. It wasn't something I nailed to the wall, but it was a little promise I made to myself, which was, if I ever get any kind of success or any kind of traction in this business, I'm going to go back and do some tours. USO tours, especially during wartime, because I do see the benefit. I remember being deployed a lot of times, and not to have a pity party, but I would sit there and be like, "Does anybody know we're out here? Does anybody remember, that we're over here? Because, as far as I could see, it looked like, hey, the playoffs were still happening. Everybody was still going to school. Everybody's still going on with their lives back here." And I was like, I always wanted the troops to know that they were remembered and thought of daily, and they were on our minds. So that's one of the big reasons I did the USO tours.
That's awesome.
Do you feel like if you were to go back that you would do everything the same way? Would you go into the Marines and then go?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. I don't think, it's so funny because if you sit here and think about it, it's like, wow, the reason I got to where I am is because of all the stuff I did prior, all the pain, all the misery, all the things that sucked. That thank God that goes away, and you just remember the good stuff. Like, if you think back on boot camp or whatever, you don't remember the 4 a.m. wake ups and being yelled at and stumbling over yourself and having to run and just disgusting, all of it. You don't remember any of that. You just remember graduating. You just remember the pride you felt when you pinned on, for me, the Eagle Globe and Acre, and you remember, that's what you remember. And so I wouldn't trade a thing. I would take all the pain, all the mistakes, all the blunders, all the foolish things that I may or may not have done. I wouldn't trade it, because that's how you grow. I don't know anybody who's born perfect. I don't know anybody.
Well, maybe aside from Ashley, but
All right. I know I have a deep, dark underworld. I've killed a lot of people, Stacey.
Well, that's what I love about you, my friend. Shade. As a person who is obviously a celebrity, I'm sure, in fact, I guarantee it, people are constantly coming up to you like, take this selfie, or they're like, promote this, or come on my show, doing this podcast. But I'm curious, you're a giving person. You volunteered to do the USO. I constantly see you out there evangelizing for veterans issues and other sort of global issues. Let's talk about plastic in the water kind of thing. But no small feat. What are you doing, or what has someone done for you recently that's kind of filled your cup?
That's awesome question. I'm blessed for sure that I have people in my life that care about me genuinely, as I hope I return to them the same feelings of love and warmth and kindness, and so I feel very grateful. I do have wonderful people. Matter of fact, my parents just flew back. They're snowbirding with me here in California. They flew back from Kansas City with me just yesterday, so they're downstairs. I can hear them right now, and so I'm very blessed. I still have both my folks. I've got a wonderful sister. I've got an amazing girlfriend. I've got 2 wonderful children. I've got great friends. So I guess they fill my cup. they fill my cup. And then having a purpose. Yeah, we all need a purpose, and mine is I don't know, probably acting and comedy. I like to feel like I contribute that way. But I do have, whether it's children, sick children, or veterans, you pretty much got me at hello with that stuff. That's why I do the Big Slick charity event back in Kansas City. Been doing that. This will be our 15th year. I work with the America's Fund, and there's about 40,000 veterans organizations registered, and I think I've heard from most of them. But there's about a handful that I really love their mission. I love the people. I love what they do. And those are the ones I generally try to support and throw my name behind and volunteer to do whatever, host a golf tournament, make a personal appearance, give a speech, do something. And if I believe in their mission and see the real results of what they do, they got me. The problem is though, I like to do a lot of personal development, I like to grow. I think if you're not growing, you're dying. So I always believe in personal development. Well, a lot of the stuff I've been reading lately is, hey man, you got to put up some boundaries. You got to carve out a little time for yourself. You got to do this. You got to do that. So it's hard because this year is supposed to be me subtracting things, and I just keep adding things. I just keep adding. My calendar is already full through March. April is starting to, people are starting to take up April now. And then I get to the end of the year and I'm always exhausted and I bitch and complain. I'm like, I'm too tired. I'm so wiped out. I'm so frustrated. Well, yeah, I did it to myself, and I'm, I'm the one who's doing it. So I don't know. I have a problem with saying no. I'm working on it. I'm getting better at it. But some of the stuff I just can't say no to, some of the stuff is just, it's too good. It's too positive. It makes too much of a difference. So I try not to wear myself slick. And I think I've got some really nice people in my life who, lend a kind word when I need it. So I'm lucky.
Yeah, that's awesome. What are you working on now? You got any cool projects coming up?
I just finished a little independent film down in Alabama, shot in the early part of January, and it's just a little dark comedy with Sean William Scott and some other great actors that I personally really enjoy. So hopefully that'll be coming out. I don't know when. They always spend a lot of time in post, so I don't know when that's coming out. I did another film with Rainn Wilson and Little Rel, Code 3. I think that was the working title. These things always change. And I don't know when that's coming out. And I just shot a little spot for Miller Lite for the Super Bowl.
Oh, nice. We'll see you in the Super Bowl. Hopefully
I think it's I don't think it's their halftime. I don't think it's one of their, like game time commercials. I think it's more of a digital campaign. I could be wrong. I don't know. They'll decide what they want to do.
I hope the Chiefs make the Super Bowl. Just not that I'm, partial or anything like that. Fingers
please. Your lips to God's ears. I'm with you.
Just to see Kelsey's brother just shirtless I love that so much. They've such a great relationship. So cool.
I love that he said to his wife too. He's like, I'm going in there. I'm getting shirtless and I'm going to jump around in it. And she goes, don't you dare. Don't you even think about it. You better never do. And of course he did. He was like, I wasn't asking for permission. I'm just doing it. I was letting you know.
No choice.
Inquiring minds got to know. I'm just like, low on the totem pole kind of veteran, did my time, got out and went through the TAPS program. Did they force you to do that when you retired?
No, because I don't know what TAPS stands for. Transition Assistance Program or something.
Got it. The military loves an acronym.
I'm pretty 23 years. I'm pretty good at guessing acronyms. You said getting out. I'm like, probably transition assistant. Yeah, no, I don't recall having to do anything like that because it was weird. I left active duty, went into the reserves, got called back to active duty, left, went back to the reserves. So it was this weird, like I got two DD 214s maybe, and when you go back to the reserves, your paperwork is just a mess. It's a hodgepodge of, it's just a stack of things. You're like, I think this matters. So you end up keeping everything. It's not like when you're on active duty and you're in a unit, man, those books are kept, your records are tight. You go in, check them, When you're in the reserves, you have to go in and fight for every single thing you did, said, where, you have to have documentation, travel, and it's a real unfortunate pain in the butt. So no, I managed to slip the TAPS program.
Man, you're lucky. But I was gonna ask, like, was because your trajectory, as you said, was active duty reserve, kind of meandering, and then you retired as a lieutenant colonel. Does a colonel go through TAPS, or do they do? And as a celebrity, you're kind of at this echelon. You got a crew. Did the crew help you with your VA process? Like, who was there to kind of handhold you through that? Did you do it all?
Nobody. By the way, nobody. That's the thing I love about Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam doesn't give a shit who you are. Sorry for the language. He doesn't care who you are. He really doesn't. He's like, whatever, your number, here's your social security number. That's who you are. I'm like, oh. So quite literally, I have to try to find a base close by because I think, I got to go get a new military ID for my kids. I got to do this stuff, and I'm intimidated. Like, I don't even know. I have to call places, and then you start getting caught up in the government bureaucracy of things. They're like, well, you got to call between the hours of 2 and 2:15. On Mondays only.
Well, you heard it from Rob. He's not special, you guys. You heard it right from him.
No, and then you go in, and by the way, anything you do, and maybe other people have different experience, especially active duty. They probably have a different experience. But if you're in my shoes, you just count on ×3. So if I pick up the phone to try to get a new ID, it's going to be 3 calls. It's not 1 call. It's never 1 call. It's 3. It's going to be ×3, probably over 3 days. Before I finally get a human being who will give me an answer, who will take the time to listen to me, or I just have to drive to a base and show up and say, well, here I am, and bring a crate full of documentation to go with it, because I never know what they're going to ask for, because it always changes.
I mean, let's take it into account for a moment that if you were to call me and say, yes, this is Rob Riggle, I'd be like, to hell you are. Prove it. Yeah, I think that would be a 4th call for you, right?
Well, most of the people though that I call, they're like GS 7s or 8s, and they have no earthly idea who I am, and they don't care, and that's fine. I don't expect anybody to know who I am, but yeah, no, I'm not getting any special service by any means. There was a brief time while I was still in the reserves that I could, I had a more direct path, but now that I'm retired, you were really out here on a ledge. I'm like, I think I get paid when I turn 60. I think.
Oh yeah, you should.
I hope. I'm like this. I'm like, I think I get a retirement, but I'm not sure. And even then, I'm like, how will they track me down? How do they know? So what happened?
You just
do I have one of those weird settings on my computer that does that?
Zoom, like, there's a new thing where it'll bring up balloons if you make different things. Like, what is this world? What is
that? Was an involuntary balloon raise.
Yeah, what finger gesture do you have to make to prompt the balloons?
Did we all imagine it? Why is it not happening now?
It happened, right?
Dude.
On Facebook Live, if you give a thumbs up, it'll make a thumb.
Oh, look at Look at this. Yes. Okay. I wouldn't even know how to fix that. I would not even know how to. I'm sure there's people in the audience who have a really good idea how to do it, but I don't.
I heard Bert Kreischer, comedian, was doing a FaceTime, a little bit of a sexy FaceTime, sorry, American Legion, with his wife, and had those settings enabled. So he was doing this, and he was just doing thumbs up and fireworks. Kind of, I don't know if it adds to the mood or not, but
oh, Bert, that's so fantastic.
So funny. Okay, so 2 things. One, if you're out in near LA, check out March Air Reserve Base to get your ID. This is just a top tip. Probably on a UTA weekend, you can get fast service. So you can get your kids the ID at March, which I think is about an hour from LA. Good base.
Are you like March, like the month?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take note of all of this. I will take note of all of this.
And I have people out there that I know that would help you out. So happy to help. The other thing is, the American Legion, here's just putting that out there, veteran service officers. So if you need that link to the VA and the retirement stuff, and it's totally free. You don't even have to be a member of the Legion. And I talk about this at stand-up shows so that military audiences know they got back $1 billion last year for people. So if you need help, there your link.
Okay, thank you for that. And I'm surprised I didn't think of it. Of course, and by the way, I do know there are a lot of resources out there, but I don't know, I balk at it because it feels like when you try to climb that bureaucratic mountain,
Yeah.
You just kind of get defeated before you start. I think I don't know. Is that built into the system? I don't know. It makes me
I
mad,
think
but
so. I think it's intentional. They're like, we
yeah.
really, we want to help you. Yeah.
But having the resources, I do think at least that'll get me off my butt to do the things I need to do. So that's good.
Yeah. Get it going. Well, Stacy, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
Man, I engaged a lot of my veteran friends, which is far and wide, and they provided a whole ton of notes
That's awesome.
to ask you. But you know, it boils down to
Hit
from
me.
all the veteran community to you. Thank you for your service, and everyone truly enjoys you and your work, and so keep it up. We're really looking forward to seeing what else you come up with.
That's awesome. That's the highest compliment I could get. I appreciate that very
Yeah,
much. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I know I was at the Military Influencers Conference last year when you came by. Everybody was so excited. So it's anytime that you show up.
Was
to
that the one in Vegas?
next
Yeah.
year it's in Atlanta. So
Nice. Very
yeah.
nice.
But yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with us. I know you got a podcast that you started, right? What's it called? Which
Yeah, well, it's I had it for a while, and then COVID came, and a bunch of things happened in personal life and stuff. So we just froze it, and now I brought it back. So it's called Riggle's Picks. It's kind of it's named after the segment I used to do on Fox NFL, but we talk about everything. It's I have a different co-host now, and we just kind of we do a lot of celebrity interviews. So it's got a lot of really fun people on it. This week we're interviewing Tom Lennon, Lieutenant Dangle from Reno 911.
nice.
New boot goofing. He's on there. He's epic. He's written some of the most prolific comedies in Hollywood, and he's just a great guy. So that's who we're interviewing this week. But we have Travis Kelce. We had him on there first week, so that'll be fun. But anyway, feel free to go check it out. It's called Riggle's Picks. Riggle's Picks. You can find it on any of your socials or wrigglespicks.com.
All right, go find it. I know I'm going to subscribe to Riggle's Picks. That sounds awesome. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We're all rooting for Kansas City in the Super Bowl. Check out his.
Can I get more fireworks? What do I gotta do? Get more fireworks?
What do we got to do? We don't know. I love how it's just like there it is. Look at that. And Kansas City wins. Go Chiefs. Thank you so much for being an awesome guest today, Rob. And Alpha, stick around. We'll be right back after the break.
The American Legion is raising awareness about PTSD and veteran suicide by offering hope, camaraderie, and support.
Be the one to help end veteran suicide.
Be the one to save one veteran.
Be the one to ask a veteran in your life how they're doing.
Be the one to reach out when a veteran is struggling.
Go to betheone.org and help the American Legion end veteran suicide.
Will you be the one?
Hey, Ashley, this week was President's Day. Did you know that 31 of our 46 presidents have served in the military?
I did not know that.
Can you guess which branch was the most popularly served?
Oh, well, probably the Army.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that one statistically is it's the biggest branch. It's not the oldest, I don't think, but it is the biggest. And George Washington obviously kicked off the tradition. And he was 23 when he enlisted in the Army. Then he was followed by a bunch of other Revolutionary War veterans, Madison, Monroe, and then the World War of 1812, which is probably a little less known, spit out Andrew Jackson and William Henry Harrison. And then there was John Tyler, who served but didn't see combat. Polk, who fought in the Mexican-American War. Zachary Taylor was also a veteran of 1812. Anyway, Millard Fillmore, what a great name. He served in the Union Continentals. Other Mexican-American War veterans like Pearson Buchanan, let's see, they were elected. Then the famed Abraham Lincoln, he served as a captain during the Black Hawk War, which I don't think that name aged well. Became president, followed by other Civil War vets, Johnson, Grant, Hayes, Garfield, Arthur, Harrison, and McKinley. Posthumous Medal of Honor recipient and Spanish-American War veteran, Theodore Roosevelt, the last military veteran elected before a 40-year hiatus. And did you know the person who broke that hiatus was World War I veteran Harry Truman? Then there was also Dwight D. Eisenhower, and then followed by other World War II veterans, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, and Bush Sr. Bush Jr. was a veteran. He was the last veteran to serve as president. And so if you are a betting woman, Ashley, do you think we will have another 40-year gap?
I have no idea. That maybe we could put that in. Do you have to be, in order to be president? I think you should be left-handed. My favorite presidents are all left-handed because I'm left-handed. And there is an abundance of left-handed presidents. That's one of the facts they tell you in left-handed school. I don't know if there'll be a 40-year gap. Did you know that Abraham Lincoln's dog was also assassinated?
Oh no, that's rough. Like hit by a carriage, assassinated, or shot?
No, stabbed.
What?
Mm.
People are cruel. People suck.
Yeah.
Why kill the dog?
I don't know. I don't know if he had outstanding debts.
Oh man.
But yeah, what a rough time. Oh my God.
Was that a double entendre?
Made that.
That was punny.
It made it. What a terrible time for the Lincoln family.
That was rough. Yeah, 40-year gap. I see that happening. I mean, unless our veterans who are currently serving in politics, I'm talking to everybody out there in politics right now directly. Maybe you're thinking for a run for president. Let us know, alphas. Are you on the ticket? We will vote for you. Email us.
There you go. Email us. Go to legion.org/Tango Alpha Lima. Send in your presidential declaration. Stacey, did you know that there are a lot of foods that the U.S. military invented that we eat all the time?
I can venture a guess on a few of them, but tell me, Ashley, what are they?
Okay, some of these foods are stuck around. Here's some popular ones. Cheetos.
Huh.
Cheetos were invented. The powder that makes Cheetos possible was invented by the U.S. military during World War I. Looking for a way to preserve cheese, dehydrated cheese dust was made, and it was used on all kinds of stuff for the military. They put it on noodles, sandwiches, main dishes. Probably they're putting it in energy drinks now. That's the main thing that everybody's having. The powder made its way to Frito-Lay after the end of World War II when they began putting it onto puffed, crunchy corn. And that's how we got Cheetos. So that's why it stains your hands. Every time you can just think freedom. That's a freedom stain right there.
It makes me wonder though, Ashley, like has this Cheeto powder, this surplus of Cheeto cheese just been in storage since World War I and they've been like distributing it ever since? Or are they creating new inventories of Cheeto dust?
We did talk about how there's like 1 billion pounds of cheese that are being held in the cheese caves in Missouri of government cheese. So that could be, it's all linked. Oh my God, we have to go hide because the government's going to come after us, Stacey, and they will know exactly where to find
the bag or the Cheeto. The Cheeto is out of the bag.
The other one is M&Ms. M&Ms were invented by the military. Let's see when. So they wanted candy that didn't melt. And during World War II, they wanted to be able to distribute chocolate to soldiers. And so Forrest Mars Sr. of Mars Bars fame created a candy coating that could withstand much higher temperatures. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's shellac that is on the outside, which is made from beetles. Not Paul, John, George, and Ringo, but the actual bug. So,
I'm assuming that the military wasn't all that health conscious because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, alphas, you would find in the standard issue MRE of the time of World War II, you would find M&Ms packed full of sugar, which was banned for everybody else, but the service members got it. And I think filter-free cigarettes. So filterless cigarettes and M&Ms. Just what you ordered.
That's my breakfast. I don't understand that. I don't smoke cigarettes, but I don't understand the filter and filterless. If one tastes better or is chewier or what that is. But
I think it's probably down to supplies, honestly, Ashley.
Well, Stacey, if you are recommending it, I'll try it.
No, I wasn't saying that. I think it went as passe as MREs. I don't know. They're still issuing the same ones from World War II. So you may be lucky and get a pack of Luckies.
All right. Well, the other one is sliced bread. Bread that wasn't pre-sliced. Back in the day, it was actually cut and treated by anti-staling, I guess, like stale bread. It kind of looks like stalling. It kept bread fresh enough to travel to soldiers, especially who were stationed overseas. And prior to adding that, bread would have molded. So they needed that, so they had to cut it. I do not believe that no one sliced bread until the military needed to do it. I'm super sorry to this idea. I don't believe it. I believe Cheetos. But I just can't believe that nobody else thought, who was just taking whole loaves of bread and being like, this is my sandwich.
I don't know if that's what they mean by slicing, but I will say slicing bread is as cool as sliced bread.
Here's another one, instant coffee. All right, coffee has been, other people made coffee has been enjoyed by soldiers since before the country even existed. However, it is hard to come by, and they created subpar alternatives. That is, until it was made portable with the invention of instant coffee by freeze drying very small grounds. Coffee could be made quickly and without additional equipment. Maybe. I'll give them a maybe on that one. You think that one?
I think wherever you're going to find people around the world that are serving in uniform, you're going to find coffee nearby, or at least some form of coffee making. So this one does not seem as far-fetched as sliced bread.
All right.
Ashley, now that we're talking a little bit of history, I'm going to ask you, have you ever heard of a TV series called Turn?
No.
It's all about America's first spies, particularly the Culper spy ring. It was run by Benjamin Talmadge, who was accredited for being the mastermind of several sub-agents, couriers, and support personnel. He was a key member in the Manhattan Long Island network, as was a young woman spy only known as Agent 355. Pretty cool, huh? Gal by the name of Agent 355. She was mentioned in one of the 193 surviving spy missives, which said in part, quote, "I intend to visit 727, which is code for New York, before long, and think by assistance of 355, which was code for a lady, of my acquaintance, shall be able to outwit them all," with them being the Brits. Books and screenplays have been written about 355's exploits. However, 355 simply means woman. So we're just assuming that she, or maybe they, meaning a lot of women, were helping out. They were part of a spy ring, sure, but was 355 just one woman? I doubt it. Anyway, she was probably an amalgamation of a bunch of lady spies rather than one badass heroine, codenamed 355. Still, pretty fun part of history. And, you know, code names. My mom used to call me Space Cadet, so that was probably my code name. Ashley, do you have a code name?
Oh, if I told you, I'd have to take you out to dinner. 355 was code for lady. They don't say what was code for man. What is it, like what smells?
Yeah.
I don't, why did they need so many codes for lady? 355. I wonder what area code that is. I tell myself I'm a spy all the time. So eventually, as my mind slowly deteriorates, it will become true. Because I think that's all it takes, is to just say, I'm a spy. I'm a spy. I'm not trying to say that I'm a spy against the country. I'm a spy for the country. And therefore I can't tell you my code name.
Well, I'm just going to go by Space Cadet. You can go by 355. Why don't you just pick up where she left off?
Okay. If you insist, this and the unfiltered cigarettes, I'll do whatever you say. Hey everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We've had a great time. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, our newsletter, send us mail and guest recommendations. Go to legion.org/Tango Alpha Lima, and we will see you next week.